Welcome to Bunker Labs. Bunker Labs exists to close the ecosystem access gap for military-connected entrepreneurs. Our mission is to ensure that the military-connected community has the network, tools, and opportunities they need to start successful ventures. And we recognize that this starts with community. So how do we do this? By providing an array of programs that connect, equip, and inspire entrepreneurs, regardless of where they are on their journeys. Many community members start with Launch Lab Online, an educational platform for aspiring entrepreneurs. For those who are getting their businesses off the ground, Veterans in Residence is a 6-month business incubator, providing community resources, co-working space, and mentorship for entrepreneurs seeking to launch and scale their businesses. CEO Circle serves founders and other C-suite executives looking for a mastermind group for personal and professional development. And along the way, Bunker Brews and Bunker Connect events continue our mission to inspire, equip, and connect the military-connected community.
Veteran Ventures Capital exists because veterans make better entrepreneurs. And we believe in the long run, the ROI is simply superior.
As a retired Army veteran seeking to start my own business, I've had the privilege of meeting so many other military veterans who also want to start businesses. And what I found is that they're all driven, they're all motivated, they're mission focused, they're willing to do what it takes to get the job done. Their adaptability and flexibility are absolutely incredible. That comes from their time in the military.
Veteran Ventures Capital exists because it's a great business case to invest in our nation's veterans. They've defended our nation and now they're looking to take the skills that they learned and apply it into the private sector. I encourage you to really get involved. Come check us out on our website, join the fun, and join the revolution to help reward sacrificial leadership.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Looks like one of the co-hosts, Jasmine, is getting her audio working out, but I would like to go ahead and welcome you to the first Bunker Labs event of the year for Knoxville. We have some folks here with us in the Knoxville Entrepreneurial Center, so you'll see them as we go through this event, but predominantly we're going to be talking to y'all online. And real excited to have Pitch Genius be a part of this and actually lead most of the effort today. We are excited and to just let everyone know a little bit about Bunker Labs. I know we're going to get into that here, but this sole mission of Bunker Labs is really to help veterans and spouses start businesses. What better way to do that than learn a little bit about the world of alternative capital and learn a little bit about how to present in the, using some real life examples. So Jasmine, I don't know if you are able. We're ready to kick it off on your side if you have comments.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Darren, for the quick introduction. You know, the sponsors for today are Pitch Genius, which is our company, my company. And what we do is we prepare founders like yourself for fundraising. We do everything that we possibly can to prep startups before they speak with investors, and we really specialize in creating investor decks. So we're really excited to be here today with Darren and Bunker Labs, and we all kind of play in different parts of this ecosystem and in the support system for veterans and early stage founders and later stage founders. So we're going to go over it into more detail as far as who Veteran Ventures Capital is, as well as Bunker Labs. But again, thank you so much for joining me today. Super excited. Again, I'm the speaker, Jasmine Foroutan, the CEO of Pitch Genius. And with me, I have Darren of Veteran Ventures Capital to go over a quick agenda, because I think it's important to know how you're about to use your time. Is that first, we're going to talk about Darren's VC story, learn about him, learn about what inspired him to start this fund in the first place. Then we're going to get into what his investment thesis is, which every fund has. Then we'll do some cool pitch tips from Pitch Genius in regards to pitching VCs. And then the final thing that we'll do is go into breakout rooms through Zoom, though. So you're going to have to transition to Zoom if you want to join breakout rooms and join the people that are joining us here live today and in person, and move into breakout rooms. So keep that in mind at the end of the next 30 minutes. Perfect. So Darren, I want to first thank you for your service, and of course, thank everyone else who has joined today who is a veteran for their service. You've had this amazing and long career of being in the Air Force, working for the White House, working for NATO, and being a part of the Department of Defense. Please tell us, why did you join the military in the first place? What inspired you to do that?
Well, thanks, Jasmine. Appreciate the opportunity here to just quickly go through mine. It's not the predominant reason I'm here, but I did serve 21 years in the Air Force, all of them in the financial management career field. So I enjoyed being a part of so many different operations and helping making sure they had the dollars to get the mission done. And I did that based upon, coming out of college. To be honest with you, I felt like it was going to be a 4-year and get out and make my fortune elsewhere. But 9/11 changed that for me. What happened on September 11th, 2001, I was coming back from a deployment in Kuwait and was diverted after the attack on New York, and decided I haven't decided, they kept us out of the country for an extra week or so. And when I got back, it changed my perspective. I went from desiring getting out to desiring to stay in and to really help make a difference in something bigger than myself. And so that's basically the gist. After again, some of the great opportunities that I've had to serve across the country and across the world, I did it because it was just something. Being a part of something bigger than yourself has always been important to me, and that's also why I chose to get involved with Bunker Labs and found this Knoxville chapter as well, because it's still a part of that military ecosystem and helping teach those same principles that help us in the military transition into the private sector, and using those same principles that made us real strong there.
Yes. So I'm going to stop you there, because that was my next question, right? Like, you have all this government experience, and a part of that experience was managing million and billion-dollar funds. That's kind of the role that you played throughout your career and later into your career working for the government and for the military. But what was that transition like, and how did that prepare you for the private sector? The first thing you did was become the COO of TAG, and then it seems like your next move was to raise a fund to specifically invest in veterans. So tell us about that transition from the government and military sector to private sector and how all of your experiences applied.
Yeah, so great question. I guess really what it comes down to is that we're really ready for anything, right? When you're in the military, you learn to adapt and you learn to overcome and you learn how to just pivot as what the private sector calls that. And so we took those steps when I was at the White House and decided that, I had a great job opportunity to transition out and come over here to TAG Resources in Knoxville. And it was a hard decision to make. I enjoyed what I did in the military. I had a great time doing it. There was a lot of decisions that came into it, and it was again, I'm a numbers guy, so we did plot a lot of it on in a spreadsheet and decide what was the best thing, pros and cons. And so unlike a lot of people, I believe it's important to really really test the private sector before making that decision to jump. And so I didn't have a much more of a long job search because the job came to me and to my family. And so that's what really caused us to, we didn't know if the same opportunity was going to be there in 3 or 4 years. We were uprooting the family almost every 2 years. And so it was a little bit more of a decision for us to just transition and start the second career. That's really, and what I found, in a small company such as TAG, had about 45 employees at the time, was just like a military operation in terms of how you structure and organize and equip the people to do the job. So again, using those same principles, we were able to scale this company, double the size in a couple, 3.5 years, triple their assets under management, again, using these same military principles that I've been using for decades. That's kind of what happened.
Totally. And so, and then Veteran Ventures Capital, how did that come to be? What inspired you to transition from TAG to raising a fund to specifically invest in veterans?
Yeah, so honestly, that's when I did help that company scale, TAG scale, we had to raise capital for them, growth equity. And when I went and did that, there were two things that happened. One was it kind of harkened back to my days in the military where there was, venture capital is a large pot of money that is never enough to go around and everybody wants a piece of it. Well, that's what happened when I was in the Pentagon managing $1 billion there. So that is specifically where I saw that somewhat of a similarity. And then the other piece is that I saw a real gap in access to capital for veterans. It took me a while to get to that money situation, and I said, I can solve this. Talked to one of the people that I served with in the White House, Mason Rice, and he also relocated and transitioned to Knoxville. And we decided at that point that we could make a difference again by starting up a fund targeted to veteran-owned and veteran-led businesses like I had done.
Beautiful. And what fascinates me about your investment thesis and what you raised this fund for, and just again, like in your own story, you have this mirror of application of skill set that you learned within the military, and it fits so perfectly with entrepreneurship, with raising a fund, which me being an outsider and really not having anyone in my life who has joined the military, just no one close to me at least, that really opened my eyes to seeing the similarities and really how it mirrors each other. You've written an entire white paper that people can download and go to the website to see exactly why veterans make better entrepreneurs. But tell me in a few sentences, what's the core of the reason why veterans make better entrepreneurs? Like why do you love investing in them? What are a few reasons?
Sure. Well, that paper says it all too. It basically takes the characteristics of Fortune 500 CEOs, goes through all of them, and then details the fact that they're all taught in the military from the ground up. When you think about decision-making skills, that grit and determination, staying focused and mission focused, and finding a way to get it done we're going to take that hill no matter what. Analytical problem solving, the list goes on and on. That adaptability that I talked about and adaptability and overcoming, that's what makes a veteran so powerful on the battlefield, and it makes the boardroom that much easier to transition. So the skill set and the leadership that you develop, well, the military and Department of Defense spends billions on our veterans, and when they come out, if they come out whether it's 5 years or 25 years, they have this skill set that rivals those of Fortune 500 CEOs. So it's not a charity case, it is a business case that you want to get behind these people, because they're not only going to succeed as they did in the public sector, they're going to do so in a dramatic fashion. And that's our thesis.
I love that. It makes total sense to me. So thank you, Darren. Thank you for sharing your story. And again, I just want to make it very clear as to what Darren has done for the veteran community, in case knowing that people who are tuning in might not be familiar with who VCs are and what a fund is. So Darren has spent the time to raise a fund from limited liability partners. Okay, so just like you guys have a pitch deck that you need to prepare and pitch investors, Darren has his own pitch deck that he used to pitch limited partners who invested in the fund, which then he manages and then uses to invest in entrepreneurs. A couple of key takeaways for what this fund and what Darren is looking for when assessing startups who apply to the fund and would like to be invested in. He is focused, and the fund is focused on later stage companies who are ready for growth. They have competitive advantages that lead to a 10x ROI, which means return on investment if you're not familiar. The company needs to fill a national security need. And lastly, it should be diverse. So no more than 25% for any industry or sector. So I'm giving you this information because if you're interested in speaking with Darren, or if you plan on pitching Darren in the future, it's important to know what his qualifiers are for investing in entrepreneurs, right? So yes, you do need to be a veteran, but also these are other things and kind of different markers that you should hit when you consider applying or pitching Darren, right? So let this conversation kind of gear you towards, okay, how do I know my audience? How do I know what Darren's thinking about? What does he want to see? How do I express this to him? This is what his investment thesis is looking for and what the fund is looking to invest in. Awesome. So again, just a little more education. To be clear, later stage companies, right? So Darren is investing in later stage. So you might be at that idea stage, like pre-revenue, pre-launch. You might have an MVP that you are working on. You might have a full-on proof of concept that's generating some revenue and seeing traction. Maybe you're at that point where you have product market fit, but you still have not generated enough revenue yet. Maybe you're even at that point where you've broken even in your company. Darren is investing and the fund is investing in companies that are actually ready to scale. You should be post-revenue, post-launch, you should have traction, and you should be ready for growth. Now, the beautiful thing, about this collaboration, and this is our opportunity to talk about what Bunker Labs does, right? So if you are in those earlier stages, Bunker Labs has a host of workshops, a series of events, as well as like their own version of an accelerator and services and mentorship to support you at these earlier stages. So you can be at that point where you are ready to scale and pitch a VC like Darren. So I hope that is made clear. And so the best way to get in touch with Darren, correct me if I'm wrong, is to go to the website, again, fill out the contact form, and definitely have the pitch deck ready. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, those were good slides. I'm going to have to borrow some of them from you sometime.
Okay, cool. So now that we've talked about all of that, I want to give you guys some pitch tips, right? Now we've learned more about Darren. We know what he's passionate about. We know how to get in touch with him, but what are main things you want to hit within your pitch, whether you are pitching early stage investors or later stage investors? for me, it comes down to these 4 buckets, right? You definitely want to express what is interesting about the market today and where you see it going into the future. You want to express that you have a dream team. You want to show your traction and growth, right? And how you will continue to grow, which leads you into the execution strategy being the last bucket. So ultimately, your pitch deck is a tool for marketing your investment opportunity. So you are making this pitch to convince investors that, hey, with this $1 million, $5 million, however much you're raising, with these funds, it will last me for this amount of period of time, and this is exactly what I want to execute on and where it's going to get me. So you're telling a story about an interesting market, your dream team, traction and growth, as well as execution strategy to convince the investor that, hey, I'm a veteran and I'm an entrepreneur and I know exactly what I need this money for, what I'm going to spend it on, and where it's going to take this company. Now, for telling a good story about an interesting market, you have to do market research, qualitative and quantitative. So if you feel like you haven't done enough research on your space yet, start digging into that. A dream team, again, for a fund like Darren, it does relate to being a veteran and explaining and expressing like how all of your skill sets that you learned in the military apply. Traction and growth. For Darren, again, it means revenue, but if you're earlier than that, you can show traction in different ways if you're pitching earlier stage investors. And then lastly, your execution strategy planning, which again, as a veteran, you are methodical and you are so good at already, but expressing what the plan is and giving details around that is helpful when pitching investors. The best story to tell when speaking with investors, when talking to a VC, is when you tell a good story about mitigated risk. How have you mitigated risk? What will happen that will continue to mitigate risk into the future? People often get confused as to, well, what does that mean? Why should I mitigate risk? How do you tell a story about mitigated risk? And again, you tell a story about mitigated risk by understanding the investor's mood and the investor's perspective, okay? So someone like Darren and just VCs in general, angels at all stages, they've seen it all. They've probably seen your your investment opportunity. Maybe they've heard of a similar technology, okay? And you have to tell a story that really stands out to them and grabs their attention. You also need to make sure that the deck is concise and short and sweet and to the point, because they're not going to sit and decrypt your pitch, okay? Especially if they have a lot of deal flow. So if Darren is receiving 20 decks a week, okay, and your deck is like really difficult to understand, he probably is not going to sit and spend the time decrypting your entire pitch, trying to figure out what you meant to say. And you really have typically just about 1 to 3 minutes to really hook your investor. So if you can quickly tell a story about how this is a good investment opportunity with mitigated risk, then you can hook them pretty easily and they'll continue to read your pitch. Now, I know everybody is like sitting with Keynote, sitting with PowerPoint, and their slide looks like this, right? You're looking at Keynote and you're like, shit, I don't know what to put on these slides. Something that helps founders is if you just kind of shift your perspective on the order of your slides, right? And really treat them as a page within a storybook. And with every good story, like short story, you're really kind of explaining one idea at a time in a persuasive manner. And really before you even start creating slides, I really urge you to start by just creating an outline. Like if slides are something that really messes you up and it's really hard for you to kind of figure out, okay, what should the title be? What should the subtitle be? And you kind of get lost in it and therefore a lot of wasted time happens. I would start by just either writing out your full script or writing out a full outline and then building slides around it. Sometimes it's just best to start with an outline. Now, another thing to know is that there is a big difference between a reading deck and a presentation deck. let me back up a little. You should have multiple versions of your pitch, okay? And a reading deck and a presentation deck are just two versions that you should really have. A reading deck is a deck that you can email to an investor and it will stand alone. It'll pitch them without you ever being there to explain anything to them.
Well, it looks like we may have lost Jasmine. So I guess I'll pick it up from here and see what we can talk about. But I know where she was going with this. I do believe that there are multiple versions. You're going to be presenting your deck to a lot of different different types of investors, right? So I wanted to kind of piggyback. Everything she was saying was phenomenal. So I hope she's able to come back on. It was really good talking about getting the folks hooked within 1 to 3 minutes. She was going to be talking about the different types of investment briefs that you would give. We have ones for family offices, and then we would have ones for institutions, and then ones for foundations, things like that. So even I had to do that, and I'm still doing that while we're still full capitalizing our fund. So even those people that are raising the funds have to do the exact same thing that the actual entrepreneurs are doing. So that's kind of the if there is questions that you may have and thoughts that you may have on this, that's why we're getting ready to break out into these breakout rooms. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go around and we're going to talk a little bit about each individual while you're here. Talk a little bit about your organization or whatever firm you're representing. Okay, then we do what's called a give-get. Right, this is what I can give to the organizations that are around, and this is what I could receive. And we're actually trying to hook up people with more of an idea of concrete next steps. But before I kind of do that, I didn't know if we're also pleased here in Knoxville to have the regional representative for Bunker Labs, Valerie, here, and I didn't know if she would want to say a couple of words about what we're getting ready to do.
Have to bump them off the camera. Hey everybody, I'm Valerie Lavin. I'm one of the directors of ecosystem development for Bunker Labs. For our Bunker Connect, the purpose of it is to make purposeful connections. And the way we're going to do this virtually, like Darren said, I'm sending again a reminder of where the Zoom link is. So you just have to click on it, go into the Zoom link, and I'll shuffle you guys around. Probably give you 10, 15 minutes to share a little bit about yourself and make your connection. Be mindful of the time that you're going to be in the breakout rooms and give everybody an opportunity to speak. Take a minute or two, introduce yourself, your company or the firm that you're with, like Darren said, your give-get, and hopefully you'll make some connections and you guys can either meet virtually or in person to help further yourself and your businesses. Like that. All right. I'm hitting send now. Zoom link coming your way. Thank you.
So again, thanks a lot for everybody to we'll be able to send a little bit of a wrap up to the folks and try and get Jasmine to share a little bit more of those slides so we can kind of get the rest of the story. But right now we're going to go ahead and break out into those breakout rooms. And if there's no other questions, I think we need to break out here, right?
Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys in Zoom.